Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a very notorious succulent called as Echeveria Black Prince. Now you will get to know in the later part of the video why I'm referring it to as notorious, because it is one of the most tricky succulent to grow. Especially if you are a beginner, this is going to be a slightly difficult succulent. The reason is one, it's readily available everywhere, and this is one of the first succulent that a lot of beginners tend to buy and kill it easily. Now I'm going to be talking about it in detail. Now the first and the most important thing is the soil. They do not like compact soil. They do not like soil that stays moist for a very long time. You have to ensure that the soil is loose, porous and well draining. Ensure that it does not retain moisture for a long period of time. If I have to give you an example, probably a day or so should be enough of moisture in the soil. If the moisture is going to prolong for 4, 5, 6 or even for a week, this succulent will get rotted. So you need to ensure that you're making a soil mix that is very gritty, loose, porous and tends to drain well. Apart from that, it also has to dry out quickly. Now that is the reason why over here I am using a earthen pot. This is a clay pot that I had made. So I use either terracotta pot, concrete pot, unglazed clay pot, papercrete pot. These pots are going to work out really well for this succulent because it does not like moisture in the soil. And unglazed clay pots, terracotta pots, earthen pots will absorb that excess moisture from the soil, which is going to help your succulent. Another important thing, this succulent does not like to be kept in shade. It needs a good amount of light. I had moved this succulent in indirect bright light because it's getting too sunny these days, and you can see it has already started to lose the color on the crown area. The rest of the leaves are pretty dark in color. Now another reason for this could also be that it is getting into its growing period, which is absolutely fine. As of now, it is getting only sunlight until 10:30 a.m. in the morning because it's getting pretty warm over here. Now the reason why I call this as a notorious succulent, one, because it tends to die easily or tends to rot easily if there is too much of moisture in the soil. Now let's say that you have taken an earthen pot, your soil is gritty, your soil does not stay moist for a very long time, and you're thinking that that's it, now I'm good to go. There is another issue, and that is pest magnet. I call this succulent as a pest magnet because it gets affected with mealybugs on the succulent as well as in the root. So this succulent is prone to root mealybugs as well. So you need to be extremely careful. You have to be very vigilant whenever you tend to see if there are any ants roaming around in your pot. Immediately get alert and check for the leaves. If the root mealybug is present, you will tend to realize it on the leaves itself. I will put the link in the description below. It was another succulent that was affected with root mealybugs, and how I treated that succulent, I will put the link in the description below. You can definitely check it out, because root mealybugs is very difficult to detect because it happens beneath the soil. You can only understand with the leaf formation. The leaves will start looking slightly weird, very deformed. That indicates that there is some problem with the roots. But again, that is not the case always, but that is one of the reasons that could lead to deformed leaves when there is some issue in the roots, especially when it is getting attacked with root mealybugs. I will put the link in the description below. You can check it out. Don't keep this succulent out in direct afternoon sunlight. The leaves will get burnt. Give it a good amount of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. Water only when the soil is completely bone dry, or when you tend to see that there are wrinkles on the lower leaves. If your succulent soil is completely bone dry, you can again wait for another 2 to 3 days and then water it. They do not like wet soil. As I said, they do not like moisture in the soil. You can propagate it via offsets, you can propagate it via stem cutting, you can propagate it via leaf propagation as well. Leaf propagation tends to work out really well, and usually they tend to put out 2 to 3 pups on each mother leaf. So that is also a good part, but overall this succulent is very delicate. If you are a beginner, I would say just skip this succulent, or you need to understand what are the requirements of this succulent. It is a variety of Echuaria. It sounds very simple, but it can be very tricky. Just because this succulent is readily available everywhere, that doesn't mean that it's an easy succulent. It is a pretty difficult succulent. This was one of my first succulent, Echeveria Black Prince, that I had killed 7 years back. I still remember it was Black Prince because I had overwatered it and it had died. If you're going to keep it in indirect bright light, the leaves are going to turn a little bit more green in color. But if you're going to expose it to morning direct sunlight, the leaves are going to get really dark in color like this. It's an absolutely beautiful succulent, provided that you give the proper care requirements. You ensure that you are keeping a close eye on this variety. It easily gets rotted with watering. Mealybugs are another issue, so ensure that your soil is not very organic. Try to keep a very lean nutrient soil for this succulent. It easily gets affected with mealybugs. If you tend to see that it's blooming, you can cut off the bloom stalk. I will be talking a little bit more about this in another video. That is going to be a completely different topic related with this variety. There is something very different about this variety which I'll be talking in another video. In this video, I do not want to confuse you a lot. So this is the basic care requirements that you need to give. If you are a beginner, I'm sure you already have this succulent, or you might have already killed this succulent. So you have to be extremely careful. Do not keep it in shade. Do not keep it in low light. It will start to stretch. If you're growing it indoor, ensure that you have a good quality of grow light and give it a good amount of light. Only then the succulent is going to stay compact. Otherwise, there is going to be a lot of stretching. So that's all about this succulent. Be extremely careful if you're growing Echeveria Black Prince. It's quite fragile, it's quite delicate, one of the most killed succulent after Sadeveria hameli. So be very careful. It just requires the basic care requirements. The most important thing, as I said, do not let the soil stay moist for a long time. If you can take care of that, then that is going to work out really well for you. So ensure that you keep in mind about this. That's all about the care requirements. Ensure that the soil is loose, porous, well draining. The soil should not get compact and the soil should dry faster, but letting the succulent have a quick drink. Other than that, the soil should dry out faster. Ensure that you're giving it a good amount of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours after acclimation. Do not keep it in afternoon direct sunlight. This succulent will start getting semi-dormant if the temperatures rise above 40 degrees Celsius. So you'll have to place it in a place where it is slightly cooler and there is a good amount of air circulation. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.